Hello once again, boys and girls. Welcome to another hopefully noise improving episode of AndyManCam's garage, in which we're going to be changing this massive bucket of an exhaust pipe for this rather svelte looking Storm Oval end can on this shiny black Yamaha FZ1-N. If you're sitting comfortably, we shall begin. So the first job on our list is to get this thing off, and in order to do that we actually need to disconnect the cables connected to this little jobby here. This is the X-up valve, and now that I've pointed it out, I've seen that already disconnected. That is interesting. Wonder how that's been affecting the performance of the bike. Amazing the things you discover when you buy a second-hand bike. But for the benefit of those of you who haven't bought a second-hand bike where the kind previous owner has already disconnected your X-up valve cables, you would need to loosen these Allen head bolts, take away this cover, disconnect the cables, then get in underneath your seat, release the catch for the front seat. This here is the servo motor for the X-up valve, which would have cables sticking out of it. So again, you disconnect this, take off the cover, disconnect the cables, leave this plugged in, because otherwise you're going to get ECU error messages flashing up on your dash. But anyway, that's a job saved for me. Let's get this beastie off. First of all, I'm going to loosen the clamp here with a 12mm socket. Oh, it's a delight working on a bike that's been not used very much. Even though this is a 2006, it's only done just over 30,000 kilometers, and everything is still so clean and shiny. So that's the clamp loose. Appears to be spot welded to the pipe, so can't take it completely off. And then, with a big Allen key, undo the foot peg mount here. There's a really long bolt. Why is that bolt so long? Support the weight a little bit. The bolt out, should be able to now work this free. Trying very hard not to scratch my lovely black swing arm. There we go. That is off. That was lovely and easy. And this thing weighs a friggin' ton. That is a monster. I'm very glad to see there's no O2 sensor, no lambda sensor on the link pipe. The O2 sensor is in there somewhere, so for sticking a slip-on on, you don't have any of the hassle that I had with the Versus over here with my solidly seized O2 sensor. Just to give you an idea of the size difference here as well between the Storm and the stock. I think that's going to look quite a lot better. Just as an aside, hopefully you can see this, down the end of the collector pipe here, you can see the catalytic converter in there. Now, a lot of folks, particularly those over the pond, like to drill and chisel those out to try and help the pipe to breathe a little bit better, but I'm not going to bother with that for two reasons. One, I'm then going to have to start worrying about remapping the ECU and all that kind of stuff to make sure that the fuel-air mixture is right after having a more free-flowing exhaust system, but also I'm just not allowed to because I won't pass the German tooth tests over here in Germany, and my bike will then be illegal. But there is a secondary cat inside the silencer here, so by removing this I'm already freeing up the system a bit. So now we need to dig into our goodie box here a little bit. Here's the various mounting paraphernalia, and here is the stainless steel link pipe. Turbo Raccordo. Very weird looking construction, but apparently these extra shoot-off pipes are there to try and counteract any kind of resonance, make the pipe perform better, sound better, not really sure. It's going to be getting hot very soon. Paper stickers be best removed now. Not overly impressed with the workmanship here. Lots of marks from the clamps they've used when they welded it together. There's a hell of a lot of weld spatter in these quite messy looking welds. But then the whole pipe at the moment you can buy in Lois for 240 euros, so I'm not really going to complain. I've just remembered actually, when I changed the pipe on the Versus, I completely forgot to do the obligatory running the bike with no silencer on it at all. So I really ought to do that. Keep you folks happy. You ready for this? Holy shit. That's enough. We are in a city after all. So first step, I'm going to pop the link pipe onto the end of the collector. And hopefully, as ever, we won't need any kind of gasket for that to work. Work that all the way on. There we go. Making sure we can still use our foot brake, although I think that's going to have to be twisted a bit anyhow. Getting from our little bag of tricks. Fixings explosion. Have our exhaust clamp. Pop that around the pipe. Bolt into the nut. I'll just leave that finger tight for now because I'm sure there's going to be some shunting and shifting very shortly. Now, incidentally, the Storm exhausts, we are told, are actually made by MIVV, but the bulk of the MIVV range are manufactured out of carbon and titanium, and then they've created the exact same pipes but in stainless steel and rebranded them Storm. Make of that what you will. Reputable shops such as Lois over here in Germany are extolling these tales of rebrandage, so I have no reason to disbelieve it, and lots of reports I've read on the interweb show people being very happy with these pipes, and even happy to have saved a bit of money. The equivalent MIVV oval can, I think, is about €100 more. So, I need to figure out exactly what all of this nonsense is for now. Come on, MacGyver, how does it work? Most of it I could probably figure out, but this bit is baffling me. What the hell is that for? Apparently it's a rubber buffer. For what? I have no idea. Anyway, it's quite obvious that this rubbery clamperino pops itself onto the steelery clamperino, thus. Oh, I'm not going to lie, this is quite fiddly and quite frustrating. I put one end on, the other end pops off. But that is on there. So this will then go around the pipe, thus, and then more or less bolt onto the old mount there, using this random assortment of fixtures here. It would appear that the first step is to use the little nuts and bolts to bolt the clamp to itself. Easier said than done, that's very tight in there. Perhaps if we bend that clamp back a little bit more purchase on there. Yeah, there we go. Little bolt through there, little washer on the end, little nut. Although that's not a nylock nut. Super happy about that. On something that vibrates as prolifically as a motorbike does. Got the little nut on, the washer, little nut, the pipes together. Yeah, that's on as far as it will go. Missed wildly with my clamp here. Slide it along. Go, that ought to do it. Looks mostly in line. I'm concerned by the fact that the bolt that the exhaust pipe comes with is considerably smaller than the one that was originally on the bike. Incidentally, I have just figured out what this is for. That's to go on your centre stand, so that when you put it up, it butts up against this bracket here on the end of the link pipe. I don't have a centre stand, so leave that alone. Anyway, I choose to ignore the bolt size discrepancy for now. Then we stick the nut with the grippy back end on the back side. Get that finger tight. Arrange all of this stuff into place. The pipe is completely wonky. That's better. Might as well at least start straight, eh? So now all of that appears to be in line. Tighten this up a bit. So that's just nipped tight enough to be pinching the rubber. We don't want to over tighten it so that it vibrates excessively. Now the link pipe and the silencer are still actually not completely connected to each other, and that's what this spring is for, just to make sure they hold together. And with this handy rubber sheathy jobby thing to give it some kind of weather protection and stop it from vibrating around. Put one end onto the silencer, it's a pair of pliers, persuade the other end onto the link pipe. There we go. So now that's done, the only thing left now is to tighten the clamp on and we're good to go. And that is that. Storm oval can fitted to a Yamaha FZ1-N in about half an hour. Very easy, very quick. Now the most very important part of the test, how does it sound now? Because it certainly looks a lot better. They do have in the range a round version of this, which is a lot shorter. It's about this long and round instead of oval. I actually opted for the oval one because I've read a lot which suggests that your end can be too small, and you can get a lot of problems with losing low-end power, low-end torque. So I wanted something a little bit longer. I also wanted to go for the oval one for just a little bit more of a streamlined look to the bike as well. The big fat ones look cool, they look mean, but I wanted something a bit more classy. Anyway, stop yabbering and get it switched on. So this is how she looks, and in a second sounds, with the stock can on. Now to be fair, it's not the worst sounding stock can I've ever heard. It is massive though, and it sounds better at tickover if you ask me than it does when you rev it. Okay, so as if by magic, I actually decided maybe let's switch it on in the country so I can give it a proper blart rather than upset the locals in town. That does mean, unfortunately, I've picked up a little bit of crap on the old girl, already looking quite filthy, but I have to say, she sounds almost as filthy as she looks. Out of gear might be a good idea. Okay, here we go. Yeah, sounds alright, doesn't it? A little bit deeper, a little bit more of a bark. I like it. And with a couple of pops in there as well. Yeah, nice bit of barky poppage. That's what I like to hear. See what it sounds like in use, shall we?
So far I'm pretty happy. I mean, right now we're doing 3000 RPM, gently cruising through, I was going to say residential area, but it's more of an industrial area, but anyway. And it's not obnoxious. It's not going to be rattling window panes and upsetting everybody I drive past, but then at the same time, give it a blip, it comes alive. Quite happy with that. Certainly sounds a lot more lively, a lot more poppy than the standard can did, so altogether, success. And then of course the one thing that I forgot, the fatal error I made in my last exhaust pipe video on the Versys, was I didn't do a ride-by. Cool as that. So here you go, here's one of those quickly. And of course, no exhaust pipe review video is complete without a tunnel rev bomb. Yeah, that'll do it. With a lovely little pop and burble overrun. That's glorious. And that's that, the Storm Oval endcan on my Yamaha FZ1-N. Very happy. For the money I paid, just over 200 euros, that is, yeah, it's a nice touch to the bike. I like it a lot. A vast improvement over stock. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of AMC's Garage. Ta-ra!